Is it painful to get a lip filler? I think I'm quite curious as well. What is Botox?
But I do believe it's quite popular in India.
Yes, I believe it's
Yeah.
actually quite popular in Bollywood.
With the vampire facial, why is it called the vampire facial? You'd be surprised how much pain we will make you endure for the sake of beauty.
How does the aesthetics industry work with the idea of self-love? Isn't altering your face artificially the opposite of self-love?
The only side effect injects you in the wrong place and you could end up with droopy eyelids. She's had 2 or 3 other facelifts previously.
Which have gone terribly wrong.
I think it's very unrealistic to think that just because it's working really well on Korean skin, it should work as well on Indian skin.
I really appreciate how honest and transparent you're being, given that you're in the business.
A perfect lip, generally is where the lower lip is a little bit bigger than the upper lip.
Do you think that public figures and influencers have this responsibility to talk about the work that they've got in now?
Ooh, that's a hot debate right now.
Is there one particular celebrity whose picture you're shown the most when a client walks in and says, I want to look like this?
I think if there's one face that we would see.
Officially welcome to the Masoom Minawala show.
Thank you so much for having me.
No, of course. How does the aesthetics industry work with the idea of self-love? Isn't altering your face artificially the opposite of self-love?
I don't believe it is, because I think even a little bit, I'm talking from a personal experience.
Yes.
When I was young, I suffered with severe acne. And I used to hide, behind my long hair and not look and not make eye contact and feel incredibly self-conscious. I continued into the beauty industry to heal my, my outward wounds and my inward wounds. And when I was able to help myself with my skin, it gave me incredible confidence. So sometimes, if somebody is feeling a little shaky inside and don't have all the right pieces, the jigsaw pieces for self-love. And there's a lot of pieces that go into play. It starts from the conversations that are being had at home, the cultural conversations, the societal pressures, what is being said about, your skin color or the way you look, or it starts very much at, from your youth, from your childhood. And then you're exposed to, social media and everything else to top up everything. But if you think, a little bit of a treatment that might brighten your skin, or a treatment that may enhance, correct your profile, is going to help you with your self-confidence, then self-confidence is about inner love, is it not?
Yes.
So I wouldn't call it completely artificial, but there is definitely a conversation that needs to be had about self-validation. I always say, you ask the questions, why do you want to do this? Is it for yourself? Is it for someone else? Is it peer pressure? Is it because you're comparing yourself unnecessarily with unrealistic images that we see on social media? And we're constantly seeing the same kind of images because that's the algorithm. If you're going to look up at an image of Kim Kardashian, all you're going to see is a bunch of Kim Kardashians and the likes of, because that's the algorithm.
Yes.
So sometimes we just see the same thing cropping up on social media, and then you think, is that the norm? Is that how I have to look? No, it isn't. But it is a conversation, like I said, a deeper conversation needs to be had. Coming back to your question about how would you have that conversation in a clinic?
Yes, exactly. And
So-
do you think it's important to, right? Because at the end of the day, running an aesthetics clinic is a business.
Yes.
It's not necessary to check in with the intention.
But that's where we're different. That's where we're different. In the sense today, we are having much deeper, meaningful conversations in the clinic. I expanded from just doing facials to studying psychotherapy and hypnosis for that very reason, to now expanding into looking at skin as skin health, where we are now doing blood work, biomarkers, understanding root causes of a problem. So that was driven by aesthetics. I want to know, your hormone profile. I want to know your gut profile. Why are you having the pigmentation? Why is your skin losing laxity as quickly as it is? Let's have that conversation. So we have now an entire functional medicine department. We're talking about regenerative medicine, stem cell therapy, biomarkers. We're talking about supplementation, and how can we look after and love the biggest organ in our body, our skin. So that conversation is happening. So when you come in and we're talking about when we're having a detailed consultation, because that is the crux of it, the consultation. It's not about the client coming and dictating to us what they want. It's, let's have that conversation about what is it that you want to achieve and why is it that you want to achieve it? And is it a realistic goal to set for yourself? Is it necessary? Does it work with, South Asian features? Because South Asian features are beautiful. You could have beautiful big eyes, thin lips, a kind of structure. Let's work with that rather than, putting somebody else's standard on your face. And then as a practitioner, you just know, and we do have a set of questions we actually ask during a consultation to understand the psyche of the client that's coming in. It is necessary to have a psychological profiling. The moment we have some form of psychological profiling, we're able to then assess and say, let's take that conversation and say, do you need to see the psychotherapist?
Yeah.
Let's help them a little bit more. Let's give them a little bit more love. It's not about doing just a job and saying, here you go, we're going to do a little bit of Botox and fillers. And yes, you may feel great because there is instant gratification in that, because you'll instantly see your lips looking slightly different or your jawline looking more chiseled. And you feel like, great, great, great. But again, it's putting like a little bit of a plaster over something a little bit deeper.
Absolutely. So why, coming to the core of this conversation, is that why does everyone want to change their face today?
First of all, that I feel is a gross generalization. Not everybody wants to change their face. There are, like I said, two schools of thought. There are people who are obsessed with what they're seeing on social media and feel, again, the algorithm keeps churning out the same kind of faces.
Yeah.
And so you think, well, I need to look like that. And sometimes there's a drive to fit in. There's a need to fit in. Sometimes they feel that they're aware of what we call the pretty privilege. There is a thing like pretty privilege. There's no doubt about it. So, people also feel that by enhancing their looks,
they get access to that pretty privilege.
Yes. And yes, when I've done my research, people will say in HR that they will go for the better looking, more presentable person. It just signifies vitality. It signifies energy. It signifies possibly in their mind more sales. I don't know what drives them to do it, but there is no doubt that, that is one of the factors that drives it too. But, other than that, it's also, you could be an industry that requires you to be constantly looking after your skin and looking after the way you look. You could be driven by peer pressure. You could be driven by, what's the conversation at home. You could be driven by the fact that, you feel that maybe if I enhance my looks, my chances of getting married will be greater. All sorts of conversations are happening.
Please don't mind if some of the questions I ask are quite basic.
No, absolutely. I love basic questions.
I've personally never done any injectables, so I think I'm quite curious as well. What is Botox?
Okay. So it's interesting, you'd be surprised that even today, even in a place like Dubai, people get confused between Botox and fillers. They think anything that you're injecting in the face, everything is called Botox.
Yeah. Yeah, I would think that.
Okay, so let's begin with demystifying injectables. So
Okay, so that's the overhead
Yeah.
kind of is
Okay.
injectables.
So Botox is a kind of a toxin that is injected into the muscle that sort of freezes the muscle. Some call it freezing the muscle, some call it relaxing the muscle. But what it does, it inhibits you from creating any kind of facial expression. Traditionally, Botox is used in the upper part of the face. So it's around the crow's feet, around the eyes, between the brows, where you get the number 11s, and on the forehead. So you'll notice that people generally can't move their forehead and they look frozen. And if you're frozen, then you're, like I said, you can't create those facial expressions that create those lines and wrinkles. So Botox traditionally is being done in the upper part of the face.
Okay.
Okay. Botox can also be done in other places on the face. So now you're seeing it on the jawline to get a lift. You hear about Nefertiti, which is about on the neck, so elongates the neck. You can do it like they were talking about the Barbitox, which was doing it in the traps, which helps to give you a longer neck.
Okay.
You can have Botox for migraines. You can have Botox for hyperhidrosis, for excessive sweating. You can have Botox in your calves to slim your calves. There's many, many different...
I had no idea.
Oh, there's many uses for Botox.
I had no idea you could slim your calves.
It's very big in Asia.
Okay.
Yeah. So
with the feet obsession, I believe.
Feet obsession, and also generally the physique of the Asians is their calves tend to be quite thick and rounded. So they want to have them slimmed down. So they'll have Botox in their calves, so it tends to just elongate that muscle.
So it's an injection.
It is an injection, yes.
And how long does it last? So if you want to get Botox in your under eyes, would that be probably on your crow's feet?
It's around the eyes, never under the eye. So it's around the eyes. You could have a little Botox just at the end of your brow to give you that little bit of a fox eye. So you get that kind of nice lift there.
Yeah.
Again, it's all technique, and go to someone who knows what they're doing. Because if you go to the wrong person, you could end up with distortion. You could end up with ptosis, which is when you could have a droopy eyelid. So again, going to the right person is necessary. Botox on average lasts anything between 3 to 4 months.
Okay.
If you're extremely active, a gym bunny, it could last a lot less. So it metabolizes out of the body faster. So sometimes people may say, oh, my Botox doesn't last very long. And the question is, well, what's your metabolism like? Are you very active? Are you out and about? Yes. We've had someone who's had Botox and it's just not worked on them. And it's because they're extremely active. They're in the sauna, using the sauna every day. They're doing all sorts of extreme things. We just literally said, we're not going to continue. It's pointless doing Botox on you. Let's invest on skin treatments that may help you. So Botox is temporary, not permanent.
So you have to keep getting what is it called?
You top-ups. You would have a top-up every... again, it's very personal. Some people want to get that top-up the moment they get movement. And like, no, I just want to remain frozen. Personal choice. So you would come back in 4 months and do it. Now we're seeing a trend where people are saying, no, I just want to do it once a year. Just a little bit of tweaking. So this, the tweakment era has started, where it's the microdosing. Just have a little bit here, a little bit there, and that's it. But on average, yes, you would probably do it once every 4 to 6 months.
What is the most common area that people get Botox in?
Most common area is the forehead, between the brows, because they don't want these number 11s.
Number 11s.
And crow's feet. That's where it's the most common.
Okay. And are there any side effects to Botox?
The only side effect that is known, because Botox has been around for a very, very long time, so thankfully we have a lot of research on what the side effects are. There are actually no known side effects because Botox was being used medically for a very long time inside our bodies. It was being used by doctors. The only side effect that can potentially happen is if you go to a practitioner who injects you in the wrong place, and you could end up with droopy eyelids, potentially not being able to really open your eyes because you actually drop the muscle. So going to the right person who knows what they're doing, where they're injecting, someone who's constantly being educated in newer techniques, it's really important. Otherwise, you could end up with one eye looking droopy, or unable to open their mouths because they've done Botox on their upper lip. And you can do that for like what we call a lip flip. So sometimes people don't want to have filler, but they just want the illusion of a slightly bigger lip. They'll put a little Botox just up here and it'll just lift the lip up. But sometimes, if you've gone to the wrong practitioner, you could end up not being able to open your mouth. So those are potential side effects that are probably created by the practitioner.
But internally, they have no side effects.
No.
Okay.
No, there are no internal side effects. But there is definitely a movement to move away from toxins in general and, wanting to go completely clean. Again, that's a personal choice.
Of course.
So people who've had toxins for a very long time are now saying, I'm going completely clean. I want to, I don't want any toxins in my face. It is a toxin at the end of the day. And then, that's absolutely up to you.
I really appreciate how honest and transparent you're being, given that you're in the business. I love that.
No, I think, I have to be real. I think, giving people choices is essential. For me, choices are important because we can offer choices. You can go completely the non-surgical route where you can have skin tightening, whether it's microneedling, whether it's radiofrequency devices. The options are there. So we're able to present people with options. Or you completely say, you know what, I'm very happy with the way I look, and we're more than happy to celebrate you for that.
So what are the different kinds of injectables? So one is Botox.
Right.
Can you tell me about the others?
So the next one, the next big one is called filler. So filler is usually hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is like moisturizes the skin, hydrates the skin. Now in fillers, you have different kinds of viscosity or thickness. So you could have something very, very thin, watery, which is very subtle, which you could put in the lips, for instance, just to give it a little bit of a boost or a glow. Or you can go with a thicker version of hyaluronic acid, which could actually create definition. So you've got volumizing and you've got definition. So you might find that people who want a very defined jawline will have some filler put in here and it creates a structure. Cheekbones elevated creates a structure.
Sorry, I don't understand. If you put a filler, how can it create a structure? How does that work?
Imagine a gel being injected, a thick gel, and it literally is a thick gel, being put in a way that is creating a shadow.
Okay.
That's what you're doing.
Okay.
So when you're injecting, let's say in your cheek, you're elevating that area and it's elevating it and you're creating that dimension. And that's what you're doing, again, in the hands of a skilled practitioner. So it volumizes and it creates structure. So you get to choose, the practitioner, the right practitioner gets to decide, first of all, at a consultation, is it right for you? If you're going to put jawline filler, it could make you look very boxy. Makes you, instead of making you look slimmer, you may look quite heavy. So again, assessment, consultation is necessary. Down to that, yes. And what filler is it that we should be using in that case?
I'm assuming a lip filler is probably the most common type of filler.
So lip fillers are definitely very much in demand. And again, yes, we often get asked about, Kylie Jenner lips. To be honest, that conversation is quite old now. But what is happening now? The trend today. The trend today is let's dissolve all that excessive filler in the lips. So when you have it dissolved, it goes back to how it was. It sort of shrivels down to how it was naturally, which is quite scary for a lot of people because they get so used to seeing their faces with elevated lips. Now, the technique is not about projection, it is more about definition. Okay. So the doctors are working on skills that are creating more of a definition in the Cupid's bow, the outline, a little bit of plumping to make the skin look pinker, more hydrated, more sort of cherry-like lips, but not fuller lips.
So the Kylie Jenner lip trend is out, and this is what's in now.
That's right. This is where, and it looks natural and it looks beautiful. And I think it works really well with the South Asian face as well.
What is a salmon facial? Is that literally seafood on your face?
That's a great question. So first of all, there's no such thing as a salmon facial.
Okay.
It's an injectable which has salmon protein in it. Sometimes it's referred to as salmon sperm. It is very, very rich in salmon protein, and that is injected into the skin. And that basically, gives you these little papules on the skin for about 24 to 48 hours. And then your skin starts to see the glow, the hydration, the repairing, because your skin is made of protein. So we're putting protein back in to repair the skin structure. And right now, to be honest, it's trending. Currently, it's trending. However, in Korea, it's been around for a very long time. Very long time.
What else is trending right now?
So polynucleotides, which is your salmon, Profilo skin boosters. So skin boosters, again, could have a combination of peptides, combination of hyaluronic acid, various kind of combinations to give you that inner glow. So people who are very dehydrated, we often give them skin boosters to give them that deep hydration from the inside out. Just gives you a nice shine on the outside. Those are very popular right now. There was a trend for microneedling, Morpheus 8, which has sort of died down. But I'd say currently these are the two, polynucleotides and skin boosters are very popular.
What happens in a lip filler appointment? There's someone that comes in, and then how do they know do they show you what they want, or are there other options or levels of lip fillers?
So interesting question. So first of all, we take an image. Everyone who comes into the clinic has a very scientific image taken with an Aura camera. So we look at the images, we sit down at a consultation. At the consultation, first of all, we want to understand what is it that you're wanting to achieve. We sit, once again, we need to get into the headspace of the client. What is it that they want? What is it they're looking to achieve? Once we understand, sometimes they'll bring out a picture and say, I want to look like this, or they'll say, I just want to look like a better version of myself, or there's a lot of fear as well, a lot of fear. So it's a lot of hand holding. So for instance, if somebody has very thin lips, and let me tell you, when we're working with thin lips, it is one of the hardest things to work with for a practitioner, because the moment you inject a filler, it immediately looks elevated, projected, looks very different. So once again, we sit with the client and discuss the process. The process is usually very gradual. We don't go in and put 1 ml of a filler straight away. And we work with them, like I said, very gradually, holding their hand, informing them of, swelling immediately after they've put the filler. So you'll get swelling for about 24 to 48 hours. So that is not the way your lips are going to look. But we have to, again, hold their hand and say, look, you can just ice it down. This is not how it's going to look. Please relax. Come back to me in, 1 week. And then you'll say, oh, it's deflated. Okay, now we work on building it up gradually. And you work with the shape that they have. and we look at, okay, do they need to have more of a defined Cupid's lip? Do they need to have more balance and symmetry in their lip? A perfect lip, generally is where the lower lip is a little bit bigger than the upper lip. And that is considered, the golden ratio of, the lip measurement, rather than having the upper lip and the lower lip being of the same projection. So all of this is discussed in detail at a consultation. Of course, if somebody brings an image, we will definitely sit down and say, well, that's not going to work on your face. Again, it's down to the practitioner to guide and put those boundaries in. So it's very much a handheld process. And then we, of course, give them the post-treatment guidelines, inform them about safety, how it's done, which filler we're putting into their skin. It's very important people ask that question. What filler are you putting in? You have the right to know.
And tell me some good ones and tell me some bad ones. So,
there are no bad ones other than the bad ones. I wouldn't say there's any bad ones. It's just the wrong choice. Okay. You definitely want to go with fillers that are FDA approved. Okay, so you will go with brands such as Juvederm, Restylane, TOCL. These are the main brands that people talk about. Anything else, I think you need to really do your, due diligence. So that would be it. Then it comes down to which thickness of filler is going to go into the lip. So this is where doctors can get it right or wrong. So it's like, do you want to go with a softer? Sometimes you don't even need a filler. You may have a skin booster in your lips. So skin booster, which has a little bit of hyaluronic acid, may project the lip very gradually, may make it look pinker, and you may not need to actually put filler in your lip. Sometimes it's the best way to start. So if somebody said, look, I have very small, thin lips, what would you advise me to do? I'd say, you know what? Let's start with a little bit of skin booster. Let's see how you feel. And it's very subtle. It's very soft. And then we build it up from there.
Is it painful to get a lip filler?
It can be. I can't say. I would say it's uncomfortable. Any needle prick in the face is uncomfortable. I'd say it feels a little bit more uncomfortable when you're working around the periphery, the lip line. But you'd be surprised how much pain we women can endure for the sake of beauty.
And how long does a lip filler last?
So once again, it depends on the thickness of the filler. So if you're looking for a long-term result, you'd go with a thicker filler. I don't advise that. I definitely don't advise that. So I would say look at a filler. If you're looking at a skin booster, you're looking at on average about 6 months. If you're looking at a lip filler, a gentle filler, then you're looking at about 8 months to maybe a year.
What is that one risk that you wish people knew before getting a lip filler?
If there is a risk with lip fillers, first of all, if you're prone to cold sores, you could have a cold sore. Usually we ask that question in a consultation. If you're prone to cold sores, then we generally recommend that they take some medication for it before they start a lip filler, number one. It's the same with if they're doing a tattoo lip blush, cold sores can always come up. There's always the possibility of a vascular occlusion. A vascular occlusion is a blockage of a blood vessel. And when that happens, it just literally can turn into almost like a bubble on the lip. But then again, the practitioner will know exactly what they need to do to bring that down. So it could be a certain kind of a shot that they may need to do to calm it down, to bring the swelling down. Again, it's down to the expertise of the practitioner. A lot of these things, a lot of beauty side effects are really not due to the product or the device, but down to the actual practitioner who's doing it and their lack of skill of what they're doing causes the problems.
When someone comes in and they're curious about Botox and fillers, what is the What is the number one fear that they're kind of coming in with? Is it the pain?
No, actually, I think the number one fear is how different they will look. Will this change my face? I don't want to look too different. I don't want people to look at me and say, "What have you done?" This is very much, on top of their list. So, like I said, it is a very handheld process. First of all, the question we all ask is, what is it you're trying to achieve? We go back to the same question. We assess them. If we're looking at them and say the quality of their skin is not looking very youthful, we'll first work on the quality of their skin and say, trust me, if you work on improving the quality of your skin, you'll feel so much better with yourself. And sometimes it is just about the skin and not the lips and the fillers and the Botox. So usually the injectables is a conversation that's not necessarily had straight away at a consultation. It's usually a secondary conversation, or possibly even the last conversation we're having with them. We're looking at, like I said, looking at the quality of their skin, looking at their psyche, looking at their health, checking on, do they need to be going to a gynecologist or an endocrinologist or having blood work with a functional medicine doctor first to assess what's going on, and then let's address their skin. And then we have that conversation about Botox and fillers. But yes, their biggest fear is, how different will they look? And it's very difficult to assess how they're going to ultimately look. But, you can tell them that let's start it gradually and build it up from there.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
So is that all the injectables there are?
No, there's more.
Okay.
So we have biostimulators. Now, biostimulators are actually becoming very popular right now. So biostimulators actually help in enhancing collagen within your own skin. So they stimulate your collagen. They're not volumizers. So they're actually doing a treatment. So you inject along the skin. So you have the likes of Sculptra and Radius. Now, these are becoming more popular more recently because people have been using GLP-1s or Mounjaros or Ozempics and various other injectables to lose weight, and have been losing weight so quickly that their faces are looking gaunt, their bodies have lost muscle mass, fat mass. So the skin is looking very, very loose. And we're seeing people coming in and having, a combination of, skin tightening treatments along with Sculptra, Radius to get their skin to stimulate collagen again.
And to deal with Ozempic face. As
Ozempic face, Ozempic bottom, Ozempic thighs, Ozempic arms. It's like happening. And now there's people losing a lot of hair as well. So because that's becoming another thing. So now people are looking at doing hair loss treatments. So we have biostimulators, which are your Sculptras and your Radius, which are very popular at the moment. And the process is you inject them, and over a period of few months, you start to notice you're not looking fuller, but your collagen is looking better. So you naturally look really nice. It's a great way to tighten the skin. Then you have injectables such as PRP.
The vampire facial?
Yes. So the vampire facial is done with microneedling.
Okay.
And PRP...
Is that different from PRP?
So the vampire facial, it's a technique difference. PRP is basically drawn from your blood and put into centrifuge. So you take the plasma, the protein-rich part of the blood, and you either inject it or you apply it on the skin. The application of PRP on the skin during microneedling is known as the vampire facial. So with the vampire facial, why is it called the vampire facial? Sometimes some doctors actually just took some blood and rubbed it on the face, or the face can look quite red and you can have these minor pinprick blood spots on the face, so it looks very red. And so that's known as a vampire facial. But yes, you can actually have PRP injected into the skin. You can have exosomes that are, again, derived from your own blood, injected into your skin. And now we're going more towards regenerative medicine, which is now stem cells. So you could have stem cells that are, again, derived from your own body, harvested, cultured in a lab, and then reintroduced into your skin, into your scalp, anywhere on the body. And those are injected as well.
What is your most expensive treatment and how much does it cost?
So, the most expensive treatment would be from taking a full IV infusion, which is working from the inside out with stem cells, which are self-derived from your own fat. We're looking at approximately between 20 to 25 lakhs.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But, you would do that maybe once a year, once every other year, depending on where you are with your age, your concerns.
And what does that do?
Well, it's regeneration. It regenerates your organs from the inside out. So stem cells are being used for repairing, joints, knees. Stem cells in our clinic are being used for rejuvenating the skin, regenerating hair growth. So people are noticing that their hair is growing back, growing darker, that, they're not as gray as they used to be. So there's a complete reversal in aging.
So you basically re-inject the stem cells into your body and then it impacts all your organs?
Absolutely, yeah.
Very interesting.
Absolutely. This is longevity. This is longevity medicine now. Yeah, very exciting.
Is there a current skin trend that you think is super overhyped?
Again, I think there's a lot of hype on TikTok, and mostly on TikTok, and it's scary to be honest because it's unregulated. There's all these 20 steps for your skin, 20 steps for your face, using some kind of weird and wonderful devices that some have actually caused also some, partial paralysis in some cases.
Wow.
Whether they're, microcurrent devices that are so strong that have actually left people with asymmetry in their face. And these are devices, again, that are easy to purchase from, Amazon or from some different kind of shopping sites because it's trending on TikTok. People are going to great lengths with using very strong chemical peels at home to look whiter and brighter without realizing there are some severe consequences to that as well. Again, it's down to a lack of education, a lack of knowing how to use what and when to use it. But yeah, I think it's very unrealistic to think that just because it's working really well on Korean skin, it should work as well on Indian skin or Asian skin. No, Korean skin is very different to Asian skin. And I went to Korea to check this out myself. And it's great to see Korean skin looking, very glassy. But to every Korean I've spoken to, they wake up at least 45 minutes earlier to the time to invest those multiple steps of exfoliation, one exfoliation after another, and then protection, hydration. It's a song and a dance in the morning.
It's a lifestyle for them.
It is.
Their skin is a lifestyle.
Absolutely. And they're in a clinic every week. I was like, really? Like every week they're in a clinic.
Wow.
And I'm like, what do you do on a weekly basis? Mostly targeting pigmentation because they like their skin to look, flawless. So a lot of lasers, a lot of exfoliating treatments like dermabrasions, peels. Those are the kind of popular things. But once again, they're great for Korean skin. May not necessarily be very practical for Asian skin. You need to find that sweet spot.
Yeah.
And you need to go to practitioners who know how to deal with Indian skin. It's very important.
Absolutely.
You need to know how to respect your skin too.
Yeah. What is the best way to deal with dull skin? I think this is an issue that most Indian women face. Is there any injectable that could help with that?
Very good question. Dull skin doesn't just happen overnight and it's not just an external problem. We really need to look into the inside story. And this is becoming very, very necessary. I know people like, oh, do we have to talk about it? Yes, you do. Because if you don't correct it from the inside, it's just going to be very temporary from the outside. So if I was looking at dull skin from the outside, I say, okay, you definitely need to be exfoliating and hydrating. So a lot of people don't understand the concept of exfoliating their skin. Your skin turns over every 3 to 4 weeks, which means you have a layer of dead skin that needs to be buffed. So the same way you go to have your nails buffed and done on a monthly basis, your skin should be buffed regularly on a monthly basis. In the process of buffing, you should also be hydrating to get that balance, so you're not compromising on the skin's barrier. So you don't want to be excessively exfoliating or excessively hydrating. Find that, again, that balance. So that would be a starting point. The kind of products you use are very, very important. So most products tend to sit on the skin. So you can have a very popular big brand, a very popular name that could be extremely expensive, but they just sit on the skin. They don't go into the skin because they're not medical grade and they're not cosmeceuticals. When they're not cosmeceuticals, the molecule of the product is usually not a nanomolecule. So you want to make sure your skincare product is actually delivering at a deeper level. Water-based products are great for that. Stay away from oil-based, go into water-based products. So you, again, what kind of products are you using? Are you using sunblock? And then we, enter that domain of, okay, are you sleeping well enough? What is your stress levels like? Lifestyle questions. Are you drinking enough water? Are you hydrated enough? If you're not hydrated enough, obviously that conversation is there. Is the dehydration just on the face? Is it all over your body? If it's all over the body, then you're definitely dehydrated. So then you will talk about supplements. You'll talk about, various other issues. Are you premenopausal, menopausal? Where are you at in that cycle as well? And yes, you can have skin boosters as well. So skin boosters will work at a deeper level to give you a nice deep hydration from the inside out. And yes, then we put a plan together about, lifestyle. What are we doing with the lifestyle? Are you, sleeping enough? Are you drinking enough? What is your diet like? There's a lot of questions.
Yes, of course, when it comes to dull skin.
Yeah.
What is a thread lift?
Okay. Not my favorite treatment personally, and we actually don't do it in the clinic.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, but I do believe it's quite popular in India.
Yes, I believe it's actually quite popular in Bollywood.
Yes, I believe so. We tend to shy away from it. So thread lifts are basically threads. It's actually very popular. It derives from Korea.
Okay.
And there's different types of threads that are put into the face, like that go in at one point, go in, and then are pulled to give you that lift. So there's imagine like a thread that has barbed wire kind of effect. So when you're lifting it, it sort of jams into the skin, lifts it up.
That sounds so painful.
It is painful in doing the procedure. But it's instant gratification because they see this lift. Now, what happens is the premise is that the threads will also release a kind of collagen stimulating ingredient that will help to stimulate the collagen as well. So that's one of the things that tends to sell thread lifts. Personally, we don't like putting in a foreign body into the skin. We have seen certain cases where it's caused infection. It's called necrosis. So necrosis is when your skin basically dies. There are risks involved. We tend to stay away from those kind of risks. There are people who want to do it, who go to practitioners who know how they do it. They trust their practitioners, and I'm saying, oh, great for them. If you're happy with that. But like I said, we're a clinic that tends to avoid doing those kind of things. Yeah, there's many other things you can do
for the lift.
Yes.
What would be the most obvious?
So there are devices such as SoftWave, which is ultrasound based. Beautiful treatment, no downtime, and you see the results sort of kick in, and maximum results sort of into 3 months, and it continues to lift and tighten. And, there's no downtime to it. There's a little bit of discomfort in it, but there's no foreign body going into your skin. And ultrasounds are fantastic. When you combine the ultrasound with, let's say, a little bit of Botox, a little bit of biostimulators that stimulate the collagen, you'll have exactly the same amount of result, if not better.
And ultrasound is probably non-invasive.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So you have, when it comes to devices, you have lasers, you have radio frequencies, you have ultrasounds. And now we're getting into a new device that we recently purchased, which is quantum molecular resonance, which is very, very exciting. So QMR is basically being used in laboratories to recreate organs. So you can recreate, let's say, someone who's suffered with throat cancer and they've lost their esophagus. You can recreate the esophagus using QMR technology. So it builds the structure of the skin, it heals the skin, and it also stimulates, beyond just collagen, stem cells in your skin. So that creates a lifting, tightening, youthfulness. It's pretty amazing stuff. There's no pain, there's no downtime, and it works.
So what would it work for? Like, what would the result be?
You can use it on a wide range of things. So let's say you've had surgery and you have a wound anywhere on your body. So it helps to heal the wound. It helps with wrinkles, laxity. It will help to tighten the skin because you're creating new collagen. It helps with any kind of skin issues such as psoriasis, eczema. It helps build the strength of the skin. So it's healing, repairing. It's phenomenal, really is. QMR, you heard it here first.
So if someone was to come to you and say that I want to make a difference to my skin, or I want to get aesthetically something done, but I don't want to be injected, this is what you would recommend?
Absolutely. There's a whole host of devices. We create programs for people because it's not, first of all, it's not one size fits all. It's very curated. And you do need a program. You cannot expect one treatment to be like a magic wand.
Yeah.
And the skin is ultimately aging. So it is going to go down south. We just need to make sure that we're constantly on top of that.
Basic again. But what is microneedling?
Okay, so microneedling is a very, very exciting device that has been around for a while. It's like a pen-like object with, let's say, anything between 12 to 30 microneedles on this sort of pen-like applicator. And you can adjust the speed as well as the length of the needles when you are using it on the skin. So when we're using it on the skin, whether it's on the cheeks, forehead, around the eyes, or on the neck, each part of your face, your neck, has different densities of thickness of the skin. So the cheek has the thickest skin, so you would go at 1 millimeter to 2 millimeters of the length on the needle with a higher speed, or you would go at 0.5 around the eyes, on the forehead where the skin is thinner and there's very little fat. So microneedling is perforation of the skin at a certain speed. And what it does two things. Number one, it creates microchannels. So the microchannels are great for like anything you're going to apply topically on the skin, PRP, exosomes, stem cells, hyaluronic acid, and that helps to actually saturate the product into a deeper level in the skin. Second thing that microneedling does, it creates a kind of trauma. So the trauma action means that your skin naturally starts to create a healing process. So it's like, when you cut yourself, the skin heals. So what are we doing? We're creating false wounds.
Oh my God.
Yes, that's why people love microneedling. So if you've got like a crease, or you have, a minor wrinkle, when you use microneedling, you're actually filling it naturally because your skin is doing the repairing.
That's very interesting.
It is. And so then microneedling progressed to microneedling and radio frequency. So the combination. So, you must have heard about Morpheus 8 treatment,
Yes.
which was trending for a very long time, for a very, very long time, and was delivering fantastic results until, some people started to notice that they were experiencing fat loss. Now, fat loss can happen, and this is a very important thing to be aware of, because people are like, oh, I'm not going to do any microneedling because, oh, I'll lose the fat in my face and I'll start looking gaunt. That only happens if you've got the wrong settings. If you've gone too deep, if you've gone into the fat layer and you've used very high intensity of energy, and that can melt your fat. Sometimes we need to do that. So someone who's got a heavy, submental area and they want it to be more defined, we will go in with a deeper needle depth and a higher intensity of energy to help melt that fat and tighten the skin. But unfortunately, some practitioners have been using the wrong settings on the face, which has caused fat loss in the face. But that's, again, down to practitioner, not the device. The device is beautiful. It delivers amazing results for skin tightening.
Interesting. Is there one particular celebrity whose picture you're shown the most when a client walks in and says, I want to look like this?
There used to be a time where people used to come in with celebrity pictures, like Angelina Jolie was a very popular one.
Was there anyone from India ever that people have shown?
I think if there's one face that we would see, it would be Deepika. I mean, she's blessed naturally with a beautiful smile, great skin. And I'd say, the one thing I would say about Deepika, it's not just her skin and her smile. She radiates an inner beauty.
Absolutely.
It's her personality. It's that inner love that she's giving herself. And she's been through her own journey of mental health, which she speaks very openly about. And I love that for her. But I love the fact that she is, taking ownership of self-love, self-care. She's comfortable in her skin. And I love that, because honestly, that is the first conversation we should be having when we talk about beauty. And so, yes, if there's a picture that is often shown, it's, she's got great angles, fantastic skin, fantastic features, great eyes. Yeah. She's just blessed. Yeah, she's just
Love
blessed.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Very difficult to copy paste that.
Do you think that public figures and influencers have this responsibility to talk about the work that they've gotten done?
Oh, that's a hot debate right now. There's two schools of thought on this. Of course, people who are watching influencers on TikTok and Instagram totally believe that they need answers. They all want answers. Personally, I believe that celebrities, influencers have their own prerogative on how much they want to divulge and share. I don't believe it's necessary. There is no universal obligation for them to divulge everything. And I don't think it's fair for somebody who's, following them by choice to dictate what they should and shouldn't be doing. If I'm following Kim Kardashian, I'm following Kim Kardashian because I want to. But it's not necessary that I expect her to, tell me her life's secrets or everything that she's doing. She'll give whatever she wants to, and that's fair enough.
But when it comes to a question of beauty standards, right? These are people that so many women look up to today as role models.
Yeah.
And the community and the audiences, the fans, they might believe that this is how they were born to look like.
Let's not forget, usually it is their occupation to look this good. They have a fleet of people looking after them. They have an absolute glam squad right behind them who is monitoring what they're eating, their hairdressers, their makeup artists, their estheticians. It's unrealistic.
Yeah, it is.
I may want to look like J-Lo,
Yeah.
It's unrealistic.
It's unrealistic to even compare to begin with.
Let's be real here, You need to go in and own and try to look like the best version of yourself. Let's start taking ownership for our own inner beauty. Let's stop trying to aim to look like somebody else. And so absolutely, I don't believe it's realistic. Right now, the hot topic is Lindsay Lohan and her, glam up or glow up. And now we're seeing also the likes of, Kris Jenner, who has had her recent facelift and is, looking comparable to her daughters right now. Despite the fact that she's had 2 or 3 other facelifts previously.
Which have gone terribly wrong.
Well, I wouldn't say they've gone terribly wrong, but certainly didn't deliver the same results she's got now. And so people are saying, well, why did she not get that result before? Because techniques have changed. So what surgeons are doing today was not happening back then 10 years ago. What she's had done today surgically, maybe, a brow lift and a deep plane facelift, which is a totally different technique. Not all surgeons do it. You need to be going into an expert's hands and paying a lot of money for a deep plane facelift and a brow lift and a neck lift. So that's a huge price tag. The surgeons that she has said that she went to, is not cheap. It's again, it's someone that probably a celebrity can afford.
I think that's a beautiful way to end today's conversation. Thank you so much, Mona, for being here, for being so honest and transparent, and for sharing so openly.
It's a pleasure, Masoom. It's honestly, I believe that deep down, the first conversation we need to start having with ourselves is more about self-love. And when you have that inner glow from the inside, there's another kind of beauty that radiates from it. And then, the world is your oyster, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.